Okay, I'm going to talk about master courses that we use for our online program. And some of you are probably very familiar with master courses, and some of you may not be, or even if you have used them before or have served as a CR, maybe you'll learn something new. And I'll try to keep it really short. First of all, you know that you have master syllabi that you can access from the CTC website. And this is developed by someone in your department, and it's designed so that everybody who teaches that course knows what is supposed to be offered in that course. Well, the master courses in Blackboard go a little bit farther because instead of just having the basic information like the course description and the learning outcomes and references to the book, we try to include activities. It's set up with lessons, lesson objectives, lesson activities, lesson assignments, and so on. So it's like an expanded syllabus. So first of all, I'm going to kind of reverse how I presented it before. It makes more sense, I think, to talk about who creates the master courses first and then talk about more about what they are. So a content reviewer, CR, who used to be called a SME or subject matter expert, is appointed, Angela's laughing, is appointed by a department chair to develop a master course, or if there is a master course, to update a master course. Now, this doesn't apply to what an individual faculty member does. If you develop something on your own, that's not a master course. That is yours. But these are master courses that are developed to be used by all faculty who teach that course, regardless of where they are or how they teach it. So the CR is appointed by the department chair. The department chair submits an E-tree form to get this done. It's called a textbook update and course development revision form. And the top part of it will tell Leslie Magoo the textbook and other information that she uses for the book list. But the bottom part comes to DEET, and it gives us the name of the CR, their contact information, all that sort of stuff. So once we get that, we contact the CR and we assign an instructional designer from DEET to work with them. They will work together to develop a master course or revise a master course in Blackboard. And once it is deemed to be finished, it goes through a four-step QA process. Uh, the course developer, who is a DEET staff member, will review it. The instructional designer will review it. The did I say the CR will review it? And then the department chair will review it. All four of them look at it because I think that because of their different roles, they're looking for different things. We want the master courses to be accurate. We want them to look good. We want the content to be good. We want to try to do away with most typos and grammatical errors. Of course, some always show up once you copy a course for 10 faculty members, but that happens. So once it goes through the QA process and the department chair approves it, then that master course will be distributed to faculty who will be teaching that course. We call it an online master, but it's actually appropriate for all delivery methods. So if you're teaching a blended course or if you're teaching a lecture course, we can provide that online master to you so that you've got some content in your course and you don't have to start from scratch. It kind of gives you a basis to work from. You can hide parts of it, you can add to it or whatever. Once you get a master course, the next time around when you teach the course, we copy your previous course for you because you may have already added some links that you like. Maybe you did some recordings or something like that. And so we bring that over for you so you don't have to do it again. So you won't get a new master until we have a new master course. So back to why do we use master courses? Like I said, they're an extension of the master syllabus. We help you make sure that the course description that is in the master course complies with either the WECM or the Lower Division Academic Course Guide Manual. Same with the learning outcomes. So we make sure that those comply. You can add to them, but that basic information has to be there as stated in the one of those two manuals. We also make sure that certain institutional and departmental policies and procedures are listed. Some departments have specific things that they want to ensure is in every course, so we follow that. Like some of the departments want a certain number of tests, or the tests have to count a certain number of points out of the total points, or whatever. So we put that in there. Um, for the institutional part, it's really more than institutional. It's also things that are required by that Texas Higher Education Coordinating Board and by the federal government. We have to list disability support. We have to talk about extensions. We have to talk about academic misconduct. And academic misconduct is one thing that Dean Anderson and a few others of us have been working on for what seems like months to try to get a policy that everybody agrees to that addresses all the needs. We think we have it, so that should be in place soon as well. But that gives the student an idea as to what is considered to be academic misconduct and what will happen if they misconduct. And also it will tell the faculty what they can do if they suspect something. Also, class participation is addressed in the master course. We've got requirements now where there has to be a graded activity submitted to show participation. And so most of the departments have a certain activity that they want to be put in there, and we ensure that that's in there. So the master course provides consistent content regardless of where the course is offered and whether it's offered as lecture, blended, SVL, online, whatever. It ensures adherence to usability standards. If you put something online, there's a whole big manual of usability standards, like no more than 3 clicks to get to something. Font has to be a certain way. It tells you how to do bullets, how to do images, and things like that. We also have to ensure that the master courses comply with ADA requirements and with the copyright requirements. It used to be when we just had face-to-face courses, there really weren't that many copyright requirements. You could copy stuff for your class, but now that we offer courses online and to more students around the world, those things that you could do before are out the window. So we have to be very careful that we comply with the new standards. The master courses also reduce prep time because you've got some information there to start with. You can adapt it for any delivery mode, and it facilitates our course copy process because we know um, what to copy from. Okay, I already talked about who creates them. Compensation is always an important part of this if you're the CR. If you are creating a new master, never created before, and trust me, we go back a long way. We've been doing this since 2000, so we have some really old masters. So even if you're updating one of those, that is not a new master. But if it's a new master or you're adapting um, a master for OER, you get $2,000. If it's a revision to a master, it's $1,000. And if it's maintenance, which is usually just something small, like maybe WECM has changed some of your learning outcomes or something on the course description, then that would be considered to be maintenance and it's zero compensation. Uh, who owns the content? Well, if you're a CR, you sign it over to CTCD. And the reason for that is if you develop content and then you go to work for another college or retire, if the content remained yours, we wouldn't have a course anymore. And so by doing this, you're signing it over to CTCD so that we can continue using what you develop. This also complies with policy 280 in the HR manual. And if you are a CR, all of this is described on a form that we have you look at and sign off on before you start working on a course. It's another e-tree form. If you want more information, we've got a bunch of information about this at our website. It's online.ctcd.edu. Um, there's even a CR resources quick link if you are serving as a CR. And you can also contact anybody here, Indeed, if you've got specific questions. You can contact course.support@ctcd.edu. You can contact DE Tech Support at ctcd.edu. You can contact me. I'll get to the right place. Do you have any questions? And I think I saw a couple of chats pop up. Um, Will the misconduct policy be appended to the master courses automatically? It's going to be
No.
referenced once we have a location for it, I think, but it's not going to be included in the master course. And part of that is because if you put it in the master course itself, rather than just link out to it, if there's any changes, you have to change every course, and we have a lot of courses.
So
Okay, Ben, you
Sharon,
can talk. Yes.
yeah, Sharon, let me say something about that. So
Okay.
the the misconduct policy will be in the catalog. They're in the process of putting it in the catalog. It'll be in the student handbook. It'll be in the faculty handbook. But it's complicated. It has all the levels of appeal and all the
Right.
steps that have to go through a committee of faculty. Um, so it's really I don't know any way to summarize it that it would fit on the syllabi anyway. So yeah, you don't have to worry about putting it on the syllabi. I think it's really only about cases of cheating, collaboration, plagiarism, and then the big one is the misuse of IP addresses because they're using a third party for their work because we now have a system to be able to trace them. And
It's
so
Go ahead.
yeah, I would not put it on the syllabi.
No, I think you can reference it, and you may want to talk about it, but it's really a major expansion of our previous plagiarism policy, which did not address some of the stuff that can happen now. The plagiarism policy was was just a part of the academic misconduct policy because now with technology, there's more ways students can cheat, but there's also more ways that we can gather data showing that they're cheating. So it's very complicated. Um, Ben, I can talk to you about the Automotive Blackboard. And what do you mean by what about going to Blackboard when Blackboard was never used previously? Can you say something about that?
We were self-paced and went to a lecture lab, and
Mm-hmm.
in going to lecture lab, especially over COVID, I started moving all of the self-paced materials that were never in Blackboard ever before to Blackboard.
Mm-hmm.
Just making sure that everything in Blackboard meets all of our requirements, and
Okay, I think we assigned somebody to help you with that. Uh, some of the classes that do not they're called open entry open exit, they don't have a posted beginning or end. Students can register anytime, and then they finish when they complete all the competencies. um, those cannot come into Blackboard automatically, and it's part of the colleague system, the ILP and all that. But we do have ways that we can work around that, and we can work with you to develop a place in Blackboard for that. So if you're interested in that, like we've been working with Ben, let us know.
yeah,
Yeah.
I just think we are not open-ended. We have a start and an end date, just like a traditional class now.
Oh,
But I don't want
okay.
to take the group's time with it. Something I think we probably need to speak with
Okay.
individually.
Sure. Sure. Just contact me. Okay. Anything else? That's all I have. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Oh, Laura's got a question.
I do. You just mentioned that you have a third party to find out if students are using an outside resource to complete their assignments.
No,
Is this?
we use Biosig to can determine if there's suspicious activity. That what they can do is they can compare IP addresses to see it's really we're gonna be starting with the very obvious ones that if they take a test on Fort Hood and the next day they're taking a test in the Philippines, okay, well, that can't happen. So we'll start with the ones that are really obvious till we get our system down. And then we're going to start going after, but we're hoping the word gets out and that it's a deterrent for people who are using third parties to complete their tests.
Right. Biosig provides a lot of data in the background, and Dean Anderson and I have been meeting almost every Friday with a representative from Biosig. He provides us with these strange IP addresses and shows us times like somebody may log into Biosig at 11 o'clock in South Carolina, and then at 12 o'clock they're in Pakistan, stuff like that. And so those are pretty obvious things that something's wrong. But even with that, there's still other things you need to look at. You need to look at how the student has done in other stuff, other assignments. You need to look at how long the student was in the test. Um, there's a lot of other things to be considered besides just looking at a strange IP address. And I think once we get the academic misconduct policy out there, we'll probably have to have some training on what to do with it.
Is it just
And
for
Sharon,
tests? What about for like, we've really leaned more towards more authentic assessment. So we do a lot of projects and does it also pick up on stuff like that? Or is it just for
I think
testing?
it's anything that's considered academic misconduct, like
Mhm.
cheating, or a collaboration where there should be no collaboration. It's going to be that kind of thing, or the thing with IPs. And Sharon said we've worked a couple months on it. No, we've worked over 2 years on it, and we had to make it work at every single site around the world. We had to consult with all the deans and the site directors, because if it involves somebody having academic misconduct, there has to be a hold put on them to keep them from registering, and everybody's going to have to develop their own hold. And then there's got to be, an adjudicating committee, and then there's the appeals process. It is very complicated. And so we had to put everything by legal 3 times. We put it by legal, and through all the executive officers who all had comments that needed, this needs to change or that needs to change. So this has been a complicated process. I'm scared to death to implement it because I'm scared we've missed something, but we got to do it. We got to come out with it. We have way too many people using third-party testing companies, and we see it, we see the evidence of it, and we have to have a way to stop it.
It's
So we're
called,
just gonna, I was just gonna say, we're just gonna jump out there,
mm,
and we're gonna have to tweak it as we go along. We already know it's not probably gonna be perfect coming out the gate, but our goal is to get something in place without being sued. That's really our goal.
it's called contract cheating, and it's so prominent among all institutions that CBS even had a thing about it a few weeks ago. They know what's going on. The major places it's happening are poor areas in Africa, like Kenya and Pakistan, and those are the IP addresses that our third party is finding that they're from those areas. So I like Dean Anderson said, I think if we start catching people and can actually do something about it, the word's going to get around.
It was Kirsten Brooks, Sharon, and me. We've been working on it nonstop. We have to pick it up and put it down and pick it up and put it down because it's in that office or in that office or with the dean overseas or whatever. But it's gotten the seal of approval from everybody now, and so now it's a matter of getting a faculty committee trained on how to do it. And probably the best way to do that is to get it out there, start with the first case where we are monitoring and working with the faculty, because until we have a case to work on, I don't know what we would train them on anyway, other than being familiar with the policy. So it's going to be a matter of overseeing the first couple of cases till people know what we're doing.